TV breakfast. On the segment, we are focusing on Ghana's battle against narcotics, which is coming at a critical turning point. With increasing sophistication in drug trafficking networks, the country's role both as an alleged transit hub and a consumption point has come under intense scrutiny. From major airport seizures to crackdowns on illicit pharmaceutical sales, the Narcotics Control Commission, NACOC, is ramping up its efforts not just through enforcement, but also through education, policy reform, and international collaboration. At the table this morning, Mr. Using-Twum-Barimah, Deputy Director General in charge of Enforcement, Control, and Elimination at NACOC, is here. He will be sharing some insights and some light on the evolving drug landscape in Ghana, especially recent high-profile operations, the Commission's strategic priorities, and how all of us can get involved in curbing the threat of narcotic drugs. Mr. Twum-Barimah, good morning to you. Welcome to GTV Breakfast.
Thank you, Chairman.
We are so happy that you have joined us. I want us to go through some of the recent developments very quickly, and we are going to, Valerie will be reading out some of them to us now. The NACOC has been quite busy, and we want to take some quick steps through some of the things that you've been doing. So, Valerie, walk us through what we have on the wall.
Okay, so recent operations and developments of NACOC. April 23, 2025, the agency seized nearly 90 kg of cocaine in transit to the Netherlands, leading to multiple arrests, highlighted as evidence of NACOC's strengthened strategic oversight. March 18, 2025, a major bust at Yarifa arrested a Nigerian national with 192 kg of cocaine and heroin valued at over $2.1 million US. Next slide. Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak directed NACOC to fully operationalize the SUD Rehabilitation Fund, Section 22 of Act 1019, immediately after 186 new cadets graduated from their training on June 18, 2025. In mid-June 2025, NACOC, in collaboration with the National Intelligence Bureau, destroyed 16,826.91 kg of narcotic drugs at Bundasi military station, highlighting their commitment to transparent enforcement. On July 5, 2025, NACOC intercepted 738 parcels of suspected cannabis at Swissport, destined for the UK. 2 individuals arrested, 2 suspects remain at large. On June 30, 2025, Parliament announced efforts to strengthen NACOC status, potentially positioning it as a more robust security and intelligence agency within Ghana's governance structure. And that's all on the board T.
Okay, thank you so much, Valerie, for giving us those details. So, Mr. Twum-Barimah, it's apparent that there's a lot of work that is going on behind the scenes. I want to get an understanding of what our current state is like when it comes to the details about drug trafficking and even abuse of drugs in Ghana. Where are we and how bad is the situation?
All right, so good morning to our viewers, and let me start from the last part, which is the abuse part. The abuse part, I can say that it looks like it's getting out of hand a bit, because especially with the youth, let me put it in that sense, with the youth, because a lot of the youth are getting themselves involved in the use of, for instance, red and also cannabis. But the sad part is that the things that they are using the cannabis for is a danger. Now they are mixing cannabis with drinks, mixing it with sometimes even some food items. Let me put it in that simple terms. And then the abuse of red, or the tramadol 225, 250, among the 150 and co, is also becoming too rampant. But the good thing is that we haven't rest on our efforts to get them. So every now and then we have several operational activities, and I'm glad you've been able to outline some of them here for our viewers to see the kind of work that we have been doing This is just a handful. There is a tall list of activities yet to come, and those that we have already had. And then the good thing again also is that all the cases that we've had, none of them has been made, okay, let me look for a good word, like we've not thrown away anyone. They are all before the courts and they are all going through the law. Okay. Yeah, so one thing with NACOC is that once we get you, I mean, the next thing is for the court to tell you that you can go home. But if the court doesn't say so, then you are going to be with us through thick and thin. It's one thing that anytime I say it, I like saying that I know when you say this, people don't like it. But we are not there to pamper anybody's illicit business. We are not there to encourage anybody's ill business. You doing your business, you have no problem with that. Whatever business we want to do, we don't have any issue with it. But if your business is related with narcotics, you have issues with us. Okay.
Because we'll talk about drug trafficking a bit, but because you mentioned the abuse part and made the point that it's getting out of hand, what has been the most significant challenge to overcoming the hurdle of managing or bringing drug abuse situations? You've mentioned RED and those tramadol-like medications. What has been the biggest challenge to controlling that?
I think the biggest challenge is that, you see, we wish those who know should have done the right thing. When I say those who know, I mean, for instance, licensed chemical shops or chemical store operators, pharmacy, drugstores, pharmacy companies or pharmacy shops or whatever. They are people that you expect to know that, for instance, nobody can purchase a tramadol from you when it's above the 100 milligram threshold. And even with that, the 50 and the 100, which is permissible, you need to have a prescription from a physician or a doctor before you can, procure it or buy it or whatever from any licensed chemical shop or pharmacy. However, we get pharmaceutical companies, we've closed down some. Not long ago, just about 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, we went for an operation within Achimoda and then across to Enclave. And by the time we came back, we had about 7 or 6 pharmaceutical or let's say drugstores that were closed down by us. So all these shops were trading in red. But these are people who are supposed to know the right thing. And do you know one funny thing? Because they know it is wrong, they hide it and don't display it on their counters. The reason why you're not displaying that is because you know it is wrong. So the question is, why are you doing something that you know is wrong?
How do they end up in the country in the first place? Well, and the BBC documentary attempted to follow, that trail, and we know how that turned out.
That part is very interesting. So you see, on this note, let me commend some agencies like the FDA, the Pharmaceutical Council, Ghana Sports Authority, for instance. Yesterday they came to me in my office for us to put our heads together on the way to educate, for instance, the freight forwarders or the shipping agents or whatever name you may call them, on how careful they should be when it comes to transit goods. The funny thing is that you hear that, oh, this item is going on transit. It's going to Niger, it's going to Burkina. We don't have problem with any transit goods going outside this country. But where the good that is going is something that is prohibited. We've seized not less than 80-feet containers. When I say 80 feet, not 80 feet combined, but 140 feet, 20, and 2 other 20 feet, containers were seized. And all these containers were full of red. They were full of red. The reason they will give you is that, oh, it's going to Niger. Who in Niger is importing that thing? And why do you think we will allow you to use our port as a transit point for illicit goods or activities? No, we won't. So if it is true that some Nigerians have been importing, red or whatever from whichever country through our borders, they should stop.
So that container was seized. Have we found those behind the importation or the transit, whatever it was doing in Ghana? Have we found those?
The very first 2, unfortunately, we couldn't get a witness. But the third one, the agent who is on it has failed to report, and we have declared him wanted.
when you say you can't find the owners, every container has some paperwork that supports it.
Yeah.
So there's some information in there that could perhaps point to who is in charge of, or at least overseeing the shipment or the transit or the transportation of the container. That was not there.
Tell me, I do know something. This supposed or alleged criminals who are into these activities always think that they are very smart. There's a case that we are doing that items were supposed to be shipped to a country. The recipient of those items is someone who resides in Ghana and doesn't even live in that country. But they've used that person's name as the one who is going to receive the items in that country and has given an address. So let's assume that the same thing has happened to any of these containers. You will track the name and the address and you will never locate the person. Just as that country was going to face the same thing. Even though for that very one that I use as an example, the corporates have been arrested. 2 other persons have also been declared wanted as of yesterday. I will mention their names here before the end of the program. They've been declared wanted, and we will get them from every angle that they find themselves. It's in their best interest to report themselves. If they fail to, we will use every legal means to get them.
So those capsules, thousands of them we saw in a vehicle, have been destroyed, incinerated.
Yeah, we've destroyed some too. We've gotten court orders, and we are yet to destroy them.
Okay. Yeah. What does destroying a large consignment of red, for example, look like in a safe manner?
Okay, so basically it's just about taking it out of the system and then just burning them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that safe for those who live around the areas where...
The moment I said that, I can see that people are showing it. Okay. So the good thing is that where we did this exercise, there is no, residential accommodation or whatever around that place.
Okay.
It's a total vast land that is just for military activities. Mostly that is where they do the artillery testings and other grenade testings. So in that case, they will not even allow anybody to come close or whatever.
But even those there are not wearing masks. They don't appear to be wearing any protective.
I was there and I was wearing something. Maybe your camera didn't get me.
The rest, the 1 or 2 people that I've seen
we're not wearing anything.
We're not wearing any protective clothing.
So and another thing is that normally we position ourselves towards the opposite direction of the wind.
Okay.
So as you can see, the wind is blowing them
to the other side.
Yes, onto the other side, and then we were in front of it. So we wouldn't get any effect. Yeah.
So when it comes to pharmaceutical drug trafficking, I want to understand, what do our laws say? In other countries, you can't buy more than 2 packets of even paracetamol at a go in a shop. What do our laws say about buying drugs? Are there limits? Are they enforced? And if they are not, is a proposal of that nature in the offing?
Okay, so that is why I first indicated that tramadol is a permissible drug.
Yeah.
But you can only acquire tramadol when it's 50 milligram or at most 100 milligram. But either of this, it needs to be prescribed by a physician or a doctor. Without this, you can't get it. So under no circumstance can anybody think of even having it within his store or her store, a milligram that is above this threshold that I've given, which is 100. So anything 120, 150, even 101 is unlawful.
So what are the penalties for these people who are breaking the law? Yes, the pharmacies you're saying have been closed down. What's the actual, sanction?
The actual sanction
beyond the closure
will be pronounced by the court. That is why anybody that we have arrested.
So it's prosecution?
Of course. They are all put before court. Anybody who has been arrested by us, for a good reason you have been granted bail, your bail doesn't end your case. The next thing for you is that you are getting ready to go to court. If you haven't been to court, it means you've not found a court for you yet. But once you get the court, the next minute you are there.
In this case, at prosecution, how long a sentence are these people facing?
Depends. Those things sometimes comes to the court as a discretion. So, for instance, most cases you see the court giving you, the law giving the court a range to go. So it can say, let's say, not less than 5, not more than 10. So the court can decide to give you 7, to give you 5, that is the minimum, or even give you the maximum, which is 10. So that one, I mean, it's left to the court to make that pronouncement.
Okay. Now, let's talk about cannabis, for example.
Okay.
Recently, Ghana allowed the use of cannabis for medicinal purposes only. And conversations have been had around, well, if we have this thing that grows here anyway, can we have more commercially viable uses for it beyond intercepting and burning?
Okay.
I don't know what kind of conversations are being had.
Ghana hasn't totally permitted the use of cannabis.
But for medicinal.
Okay, so I'm coming there.
Okay.
What we have done is that there is a law which very soon, some portions of it that is pending before Parliament soon, we hope to have it, I mean, done at most in the next month or two. We should be done. What is going to happen is that we are permitting cannabis to be used for medicinal purposes. But even with that, the THC level is 0.03%. So anything above that goes against our law and we will come after you. Again, it is not for recreational purposes.
At all.
At all.
Zero.
Zero. So if you get into anything recreational, you have me to, I mean to tangle with.
So walk through this with me. When you say recreational use, in your earlier submission, you talked about cannabis being used in even food substances.
Yeah.
Does that amount to recreational
exactly, yes,
use of,
it is.
of cannabis?
So, for instance, we got reports about cannabis being used with pardon me, but with kebab. So they rub it
as a seasoning.
I don't know whether it's for seasoning or whatever. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
But I mean, there was a report that we had, and we were trying to fish out the very place that the event happened. We have not gotten anywhere yet, but we hope to get it. I think it was some kind of party that some boys were having, and then that was what they were doing there. It's dangerous. Again, that amounts to recreational.
Okay.
And then that unnecessary smoking of it is recreational.
Smoking is recreational. Ingesting it in any form. A tea, is that recreational?
Oh yeah, it is. You see, the thing is that in as long as we are permitting it, we are permitting a particular threshold. Right. And no matter whatever you are using, it's not by that threshold. It's above it. In fact, if you have been to any of the farmlands for cannabis before, there's a small machine that we use in testing the THC level. You can just apply it on the flower of that plant, and immediately it will read to you that the thing is about 30-something% THC. That is nowhere near the one I'm implemented by law. It's far beyond it.
Okay, so if you have weed in a cupcake, a muffin, a toffee of any kind, it's all recreational. I just want us to sit with it because it's part of the education, so that people
they are all
know.
recreational, yeah.
But a large seizure was made recently at the Kotoka International Airport. So
yeah.
What did it reveal about the system that we run and what needs to be done?
Okay, so on the cannabis part, yes, it's true that we did a seizure. That was last Friday or Saturday, one of them.
July 5?
Yeah. And it was about one gentleman who decided to export it to the UK. And he had concealed it in Fantikinke, concealed it in this local soap, as we call it, Alatasamina. And then also concealed it under, the leaves that they use in preparing wachi. There's some kind of leaves that they use in, mixing it with it. There's some part of it. And they also added some fresh food items such as plantain, among others, onto it. I think in his mind, he thought he was trying to outsmart the system. And this gentleman is by name Neo Kainja, Lincoln Neo Kainja. He's been declared wanted by NACOC. Persons who were working with him, or some people who were involved, have been arrested. They've been charged for court, and I think today is Thursday, right? Yeah, today definitely they'll be going to court. He has been declared wanted as at yesterday by the Director General, And serious steps have been taken to get him arrested from all other means that he finds himself. So this is the kind of situation that we find ourselves. And when we deduce it, I mean, when we try to, they were in about 44 or 41 boxes that these items were.
The 738 parcels of cannabis.
Yes. And when we finished with sorting each one out, that's where we got the total number being 700 and something. And it's very sad. Like I said earlier, you have the right to do any business. If your business is into exporting fresh foods, plantain, whatever. I've lived in abroad several years. I love going to the African market to go and get, my own Ghanaian produce and then come and cook at home. So if it's your business to be bringing those things there for me to be able to get some there and buy, I have nothing against you. But just as this law that is before me doesn't permit you to be applying or adding anything illicit to that, we will not allow you. Who you are has got nothing to do with us. We don't care. We don't care. You can be whoever, but once we get you, be prepared to face the law.
Street-level dealers are a key part in the distribution chain when it comes to the use of cannabis for recreational use, as you've said. What are the efforts being made to identify these persons? Is that even possible? Because how would you know where to find them? The people who use the cannabis know them. And it appears that there's some kind of understanding. If you don't speak a certain code of a language, they don't own up that they have these drugs on them and they will not sell to you.
So we have those who speak that kind of language to be able to go to them and for us to get them.
So technically, so your people, some of your people are like that small.
No, we are not like that. But you see, if you understand how intelligence works, you need to be able to go within some people in a particular style. If you go like this, that I'm dressed, and the way you are dressed, no, like I said, nobody will attend to you. But the moment they see you, they know that this girl has got nothing to do with this thing that you are doing. Even if you ask for it and you produce all amount of money to them, they will find it difficult to sell it to you, but they will doubt you.
But what worked in that eastern and western region seizures, or what you managed to do with the street dealers there?
Like I said, they are mostly interworks. Most of our operations are inter-led. Before we don't just strike you because we've gotten to know that you are having something on you. We take time. This guy that I just mentioned his name, we took weeks to work on him, about 3 weeks. Gave him serious monitoring and cover. So the very day he decided to, transport the goods, that was the day we struck him and got him, got the driver, every other person who was involved arrested. That is how we operate. We don't just strike because somebody have texted me or called me that, oh, Mr. Chum, there is this thing here, so please go there. And then the next minute you are there arresting people. No. You can go there and you may not find anything there. So we come in a way that you wouldn't know, but we will confirm every single thing that is happening. And then whatever you need to know, you know. After that, we plan on you and then we strike you.
What challenges exist in that space? On one hand, you're trying to prevent, transiting cannabis from here to another country. Yeah. You're trying to stop them at the farms before they even get there and destroy the plants before they make it into the packets and pallets that are exported. On the other hand, you're also trying to stop these local, for the lack of a better expression, businessmen who work the network on the home front. How challenging is that?
Sometimes it's a bit difficult, especially where you get people who are not willing to open up. So, for instance, you arrest someone who was in possession. By law, possessing it is an offense. But you reckon that it's a chain, so there is always somebody behind that person. And you are trying to get that chain, those behind.
The bigger fish.
The bigger fish. And then you get to a point that you are blocked. Because the one that you have with you is not really willing to cooperate. But, like I said earlier, it is always in your best interest to cooperate with us. Because if you do, there may be other avenues for you to have some kind of leeway. For instance, we can decide to make you a PW, a prosecution witness. So if in that case, we just use it to prosecute our case because you have led us to make it to a good point that we want to get. And that is what may be of high interest to us. So then we can make a decision on you when it comes to that. But if you fail to do, the needful, why not? We'll proceed and then go ahead with you and get you prosecuted.
You talked about parts of the law when it comes to cannabis and what you you intend to take to Parliament to be amended.
Yeah.
What
not necessarily amended, but we are just waiting for our fees and charges for that. Cannabis for medicinal purpose use, the fees and charges associated with it, so that because there are categories of permits or licenses that you can be applying from NACOC. It includes, for instance, license to transport. So, for instance, let's say you've been given license to cultivate. If you don't have license to transport, when you are done with the cultivation and maybe you've done your harvesting, and your produce has to go to, let's say, the airport for export or the harbor for export, you can't just bring your car, load them into your car, and then move it.
So you need a license to grow cannabis.
You get a license to grow. You get a license to even have a warehouse for it, a license to transport it.
And all those are separate licenses.
They are all separate things.
And so if you have one, it does not automatically.
It doesn't lead to the other. No.
So you need one to grow it, you need one to store it, you need one to transport
export it, import it, everything. Everything that, any activity that you want to do, you need permit. And if you decide to take any of them into your own hands to do it on your own, without our fiat or permission, you have us to reckon with.
So if you're growing cannabis for medicinal purposes and it meets the criteria, it's a legitimate business.
Oh, of course. Once we have certified you to do so, and even with that, the amount or the size of land that you are going to use to do that must be something that we have approved, because there are different acreages that are going to be certified or permitted. So, for instance, if you are permitted or if you have been licensed to have, let's say, 5 acres, you can't go beyond.
Okay. I'm asking this because job creation, right?
Oh,
we also want opportunities for people.
Yeah.
So you can be legally licensed to grow cannabis, and you can also get other licenses to do other things. Is it easy to get these licenses?
Let's get there. Well, it depends on what you put before us. If you are good, or if you are very satisfied with whatever you put before us after our back end works and everything, we can. The fiat to grant you will not be that difficult.
What are the requirements?
A lot of things are involved. The parties must be Ghanaians. You must have whatever you are asking for. For instance, if you are asking for 5 acres land permit, you need not to have 1 acre and use it to apply for 5. You must have the 5. And we will come to assess that you really have the 5. You understand? So it's not like we will just allow you to get something and then go behind and do something else. No.
What's monitoring like for, keeping tabs on these developments? For those who are licensed, making sure they are coloring within the lines where they have
as it stands now, nobody has been licensed to do it. So anybody planting cannabis anywhere is illegal. As you sit here. Okay. Nobody has been given license to plant cannabis anywhere in Ghana. So whichever region you find yourself to be planting cannabis today, you are conducting or engaging in an illegal act. And once you are caught, you face the law fully.
So ganja farmers in Ghana are breaking the law?
Extremely.
Okay. I've heard, like it happens in other countries, it being permissible to use certain levels of cannabis for recreational purposes, as you've said. Is it something we are considering in Ghana? Some people say
no.
when they do these things, when they perpetrate this, as you're saying, an illegality, they don't harm anybody, they don't hurt anybody. It just helps them to relax, calms anxiety. People have vouched for some of these things on their own. So is it something we are willing to consider?
There's no evidence to that effect. I know the positive versions of cannabis. I know. I've been witness to some of the works or the good things. For instance, cancer. They are able to turn cannabis into, those for medicinal purposes to some level, and that level, anybody with cancer can be cured. I've seen it. I know. I'm not speaking from a layman point of view. No, I know. This one I know. I've seen it. I went to Malawi not long ago, and we visited one company. They were doing marvelous. In fact, one rep from that company even came to me yesterday. They are doing marvelous. They also intend to come down, to Ghana to join us when everything or the green light is fully given. So Yes, it's good, but
that's medicinal use. I'm talking about recreation.
The recreational, there's nothing that in the law, which is before me here, that permits anything recreational.
But is that conversation, is that on the table?
It's not something that is before us, and I don't think we may be considering it.
Some people are not liking you very much right now, but it's okay. And so we've talked about the opioids and the opioid crisis. We've talked about cannabis. Now let's talk about the bigger narcotics, the bigger NACs, and the seizures that we've seen. The Tema port has been a hotspot, and a few of these narcotics have been intercepted there. What gaps do we have in our system that allow these things to happen?
You see, what we don't have is control on what comes in. Let's assume that as we are sitting here, somebody is preparing a container, 40-feet container, or let's say 5 different 40-feet containers to import to Ghana, let's say cocaine. We are not there now. So we wouldn't see this cocaine coming to Ghana or being packaged in that so-called warehouse or store or whatever house that they are bagging it. We will not be there to see. But what we are able to do is the control that we have here at our border post, i.e. stopping you from exiting that border post. That control, we have it. So whenever that container gets in and we are able to see it, we flag it, we get physical inspection done after whatever scanning, we also go into physical inspections. Once we see any of these narcotic substances in there, it will be seized and parties involved will be arrested. Is
Ghana now officially an illegal drugs transmission hub?
There is no such official pronouncement. So I can't say Ghana is an illegal transit point for. You see, I've always explained that question or responded to that question in a manner that we are only suffering because of our geographical location. It's as simple as that.
How does that?
I mean, Ghana happened to have 3 entry routes or whatever, or way into this country. The sea, air, land. And aside the sea, aside air, the other 2 has several unapproved routes. And those routes are being created by these illicit, activists. They are those creating those illegal routes. If not, for government purposes, government has only created certified routes, i.e. the harbor. And then the land borders. Those are the certified. That is why we have customs and other security officers running those posts. But the question is, do you have these officers running the illicit routes? No. They are not there, or they are not getting there because those are not approved routes. But they are being created by these people who are, they have vowed to do this illegal thing whether rain or shine. If not, why will you create your own way where there's no way? Are you God?
Mr. Chumuzi, why would you create your own way
when there's no way?
But then, border control continues to be an issue, not just for the security and other reasons, but drug trafficking specifically. How are we collaborating with the communities at the borders, those who are the buffers between us and the next country, in this fight against drug trafficking?
Narcotics Control Commission, led by the Director General, Brigadier General Manti, he continues to spearhead the aspect of education from Accra to the last village. In that we don't take anybody out. We always prompt people for them to understand the dangers associated with these drugs, the effects that will have on, if not for anything, even your own children. As we sit here, we don't know who's going to give what to our children tomorrow. There was a guy we arrested, and during the interrogation, I happened to have gone into the interrogation when I asked him a very simple question. I'm glad you are showing some videos on your screen. Look at somebody, I don't know whether he's in the slow motion or whatever he's doing. Look at the way he's,
This is it's the ongoing opioid crisis. Young people who take
imagine?
These, illicit drugs, and they get into a state of...
That's the point.
Well, they say high. I think it's low, but that's the high.
Imagine this very one. If this guy standing by this taxi is a driver, and he's in this state, and you join this car, where will you be in the next 10 minutes? If not close to heaven or hell? So why should we allow these people to be doing these things, my dear? We won't allow them. And that I know that, that stance that we have taken, that we won't allow them, It's a serious headache for so many people. But that one is that it will continue to be the headache. Because we won't stop. We won't allow you to make money at the detriment of other people's children. We won't. This guy that I was mentioning earlier, I asked him, will you give these things that you are selling? You are selling cocaine, you are selling red, you are selling hashish, and all these things. Will you allow any of your children to have one? He said, no. So to you, it's not good for your children, but it is good for mine. I won't allow you. So how you will feel or whichever sentiments or emotions you apply, I don't care. You can be so emotional about it, I don't have a problem. But be careful you are not caught. Because once you are caught, you will make all kinds of phone calls, but you'll still be with us.
It's quite worrying when you see young people who could otherwise have been engaged in profitable ventures going down this path. And I know that NACOC's mandate doesn't go into, extending some kind of support for persons who have been affected by drugs or anything. Oh,
that is why we are, as you mentioned earlier, you see, the law permits us to, I think section 22 or something.
Rehabilitation?
Yeah, there's a fund that, the rehab fund that we are supposed to create by this law. And the sources of this fund is from monies approved by Parliament, funds raised from the general public. So in case you want to support us with some money, you can call me for some check. And
does it exist?
Oh,
the fund exists?
Yeah, the fund has been created as it stands. And the Minister for Interior, my senior brother, Honorable Muntaka, led it the very last time we were having our graduation for our recruits in Tema. Sorry, Nutepo in Volta region. And he led this. And then another source is also the grants and donations that we may be getting from people. And also 50% of amount paid to the commission specified under paragraph D of section 20. And that paragraph D, as mentioned earlier, is 50% of the proceeds realized from the sale of confiscated properties. Once you are arrested, for instance, you are into cocaine and you are arrested, your assets are all seized. They are all seized. We confiscate them.
And what happens?
Oh, at the end of your case, you will get directions from the court and you are going to, and we will sell them.
So you can auction some of those items?
Yes. We are going to, we will sell it. And then, because, you see, there's always a belief that it's out of the proceeds of that illicit activity that you are doing that you got all those assets.
And you acquired those things?
Yes.
Okay.
That is why we seize them. The law permits us to seize them.
Okay.
So we will keep on doing that as and when we get them. But another thing that, if you permit me, I would like to mention briefly is that we also have a unit called the precursor unit or the precursor department. And this department handles precursor chemicals that can be used to manufacture controlled drugs. And they are also called scheduled substances or drug precursors. And these substances are mostly imported or brought in or being used by pharmaceutical companies, textile companies, cement companies, paint manufacturing companies, cosmetic companies, cleaning services companies, those who produce the cleaning materials for cleaning. Foam mattress companies, permit me to mention companies like Latest Foam & Co. They have been coming to us, so they have not done anything wrong for me by citing their name. Aviation companies, agrochemical companies, water producing companies, petroleum companies, printing and labels companies, mining companies, and then food and beverages companies, energy companies, water treatment companies, among others.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. All these companies, once you know that, per your activity, per your operations, you use any of these drug precursors or any of these scheduled substances or controlled drugs, please, if you know you are not registered with NACOC, kindly do so before it's too late. Most companies have been registered with us. They come to us as and when they need to import any of these chemicals. You need our certification or our permit alongside that of the FDA to go and clear this, this good that you brought in. Do not fail to get yourself registered with us. Because ignorance of the law, they say it is not an excuse. So the day we will approach you and you have the right to enter your premises with or without warrant. Take note of that. So we can come to your shop or your business or your company any day, anytime, anyhow. Not in how do I put it? A Rambo style, as they sometimes call it. But we can approach you any day, anytime. And if we do so and we happen to see that you fall under any of these companies or categories that I've mentioned, being textile, petroleum, cement, pharmaceutical, paint, cosmetic, whatever. And you have not registered with us. So those doing large-scale mining, you need to be registered with NACOC.
Because, for example, cocaine is used in making medicines in some quantities. So if you are working with that, you need NACOC's license.
Thank you very much.
To be able to do that.
Thank you very much.
In essence, that's what you're saying.
Not just, I mean,
not
you have just cited a component. But like I said,
there are others.
There are a group of, I mean, it's a tall list.
Okay. If and they are the precursor chemicals.
Yes, see.
All right. Oh, wow.
That's it's a tall list. And if you decide to mention each and every one, it's long. But that's why I've given the code for it, which is the controlled drugs or scheduled or scheduled, as sometimes it may be pronounced, substances or drug precursors. If you're having any product that you use any of these things in your manufacturing, you need to be registered with NACOC. Your failure to do so will lead us to your office or your institution.
Before we wrap up, what tools do you think NACOC needs to make it work more effective? And as you push for the changes to this law, what can Ghanaians as a society do to support, whether we are a church, we are a school, a community, to support the work that NACOC does?
The educational part. We urge, or I'm currently urging secondary schools, basic schools, especially the JHS groups, to avail themselves for this drug-free clubs that we are forming in their schools to educate these kids or our junior brothers and sisters who are coming up about the dangers of drugs. It's number one. Some schools have opened their doors. I can mention St. Thomas Aquinas. We are with them. I think Presec too, we are with them. They are all helping for us to be able to educate this youth or these young men and women who are coming up, because the sad part is that it is them that starts these things. I have been to an operational ground that I met a 16-year-old boy who was having 2 sticks of marijuana on his two fingers or whatever.
The red, pandemic
that is
mostly young
I had a report of a student going to Form 1 who had a cannabis tea bag in his things.
Tea bag?
Tea bag.
That's also not allowed.
How can a 14, 15-year-old boy who is going to secondary school Form 1?
Anxiety.
And then you are going with this?
For anxiety, maybe?
Oh, really? Well,
maybe.
Yeah. We didn't get him, but okay. I heard it.
Okay.
And if we had, by now, maybe the story would have been a different thing. We would have taken him through the needful thing to be done. But I pray that we don't get there. Whenever they show this your videos, I mean,
they are all over social media,
and it
tells us the severity of the problem we face.
Yes. So the other issue is that people should assist us with, if possible, for instance, as you mentioned, institutions that are capable, that are fit, or they are well resourced, can also assist us with any form of, for instance, our dogs. We need more dogs. We need more dogs because, yes, we have some, but I wish we have dogs in some key regions, in that we will not be transporting dogs to those regions where we need to go and do something there. An example is, for instance, the northern region. Not long ago, Hajj operations was ongoing. We needed to be there to scan or assess the bags that were going to be go on board the flights by these passengers. Unfortunately, we have to transport our dogs from Accra all the way to Tamale Airport to go and operate. So it's something that I'll play with the general public. Those who are fit and enough or well-resourced to assist us, our doors are open. You can help us with some, and then we will be very grateful to you.
Now, this education that we are doing, we want to change lives as well with NACOC. But how is it going to affect the boys on the streets? Do you anticipate any effect?
How? The boys how?
Because they are on the streets, they are trying to, they say they are trying to make a living. They say that they want better opportunities.
Yes.
How are you engaging with them to make sure that this actually happens?
The government under John Dramani Mahama has brought series of avenues that are going to help the youth. This morning I was watching my junior brother Malik Basintali, where he was having a meeting with a group of people who are in to assist in engaging or employing thousands of youth. So if you want to make it, if you want job to do, there are several clean avenues coming up. I will plead with you to subscribe to these avenues which are genuine. But don't use this illegal means to tell me that is a means that you are using to survive on the streets.
And if they are on the streets and they require some kind of help, which
of course
NACOC is obliged to,
yes,
how do they access that support?
Our counseling units, our education units are open to everybody.
Where can they find them?
You find us, the Greater Accra region, we are in the regional administration. Our national office is also just behind Alliance Française around 37 airport area. So, and wherever you find yourself, we are in every region. Now, even the districts, our presence are coming to, for instance, in the eastern region, we are going to Suhum, or we are going to be in Suhum from this month. Oda, Achanse, Swedro, Asamankase, Adeso, Akropong, Atimpoku, Asante region, Oforukrom, Mampong, Edra, Konongo, Obuasi.
And is it free? Do they have to pay
for
it?
No, they don't pay anything to us. No,
they
don't pay anything to us. They don't pay anything to us.
They can be housed and be given the necessary
treatment.
There
are, how do I even call them? Rehab centers. Mm-hmm. We have some rehab centers within some regions, Greater Accra, Ashanti, and some few regions, who assist in getting them, housed and then cleaned up, among other things. Yeah.
Your final message before we wrap up.
The final
NACOC
message
and its war on drugs in Ghana, where we are going.
It's very simple. My Director General always says something that we have not even started yet. So whatever you have been seeing or hearing is just a tip of the iceberg. Many are those who are yet to come. And I pray that people don't get themselves involved in narcotic activities. In as much as they are destroying the lives of other people, they are also making living or making gains out of an illegal activity. That is what we prohibit. That is what we don't like. But to you, that person, you think that you're obstructing your business, that's what you have been doing for years, and you think that we should allow you to do it. We won't allow you to do it. And that is why you have issues with us. But it will be good on your part to stop. My only caution is that stop before it's too late. This one that you are listening to me is more or less your grace period. You take it and then you stop it. Because you're failure to do so, no problem, we will get you. But once we get you, that is why you remember some big people that you think you know. And you want to make calls to them. But unfortunately, your calls may not save you. That's the only sad part. You'll be making the calls, but you'll still be with us. And you'll still be going to court. You'll still be facing the law. Because there's nowhere in this act that says that when we get you and you make calls, we should allow you to go. The law says that once you are arrested, you should be allowed to face the law. So that's the only thing that the president mandated us to go and do there. As a lawyer, I can't do anything else but for what the law is saying. So that's the only thing we can be doing. Okay. But that will not bring happiness to you. Because you will think we are not applying human face. But the human face doesn't also permit you to be destroying somebody's child through your illicit activity. You didn't apply human face there, but you want me to apply human face by letting you go. It doesn't work that way. So as they listen and as they watch us, I pray that they will put an end to it. Thank you.
Thank you for your time with us this morning. Alexander Twum-Barimah is the Deputy Director General in charge of Enforcement, Control and Elimination at the Narcotics Control Commission, NACOC, speaking to us about the efforts to not just enforce the laws, but also to educate and advocate for policy reforms in the collaborative fight against illegal drug trafficking. And he has been our guest on GTV Breakfast. We wish you the very best of the day and the rest of the week as well. We'll take a quick break. When we return, the show continues and you will love what Valerie has for you. Stay with us.